Medina on fire out there, and look at the channel lighting up now, celebrating that victory, a big one for the Brazilian, who has kicked into gear just a little bit earlier than he did this time last year. Took him to J-Bay to really start to find his form again, but he's going to be so dangerous. Wilco's going to try and hold him off. Potts, he's going to be hard to stop for this world title.
He is, but you know, you look at Matty Wilco's form last year in J-Bay. I mean, it's one of his pet events, Ronnie. So I'm looking for big things from Matty Wilco. This is going to give him so much confidence. He silenced the critics. Everyone's sort of saying, you know, this man can only surf on his backhand. He's proved the world wrong. But what he's done is he's just built so much more confidence in himself moving forward. I think he's going to be going to J-Bay with a lot of confidence.
The one thing that we didn't really touch on too much, we saw a lot of great performances throughout the event, but the surfers were really tested today, Ross. The swell was a lot larger than what it looked, even though it was pristine.
Yeah, and it's what made that result from Matt Wilkinson so impressive. That being said, Gabriel Medina, amazing. He's had some of the best highlights, whether it was 2 foot, like barely head high, those crazy airs and alley-oops, to today where it was macking second reef Cloudbreak. So such a well-rounded surfer. And that, you know, despite, you know, Matty Wilkinson's going to make everyone chase him for the rest of the year because he's got such a demanding lead with points. But Gabriel Medina, you know, he's going to be one of the favorites coming to Chopu, to Lowers, to Europe. So he's going to be nipping at Matty's heels.
Definitely. He was up 9 spots after Rio, and he has jumped now into second position on the ratings, making up 2,000 points on Matt Wilkinson, that huge lead he had at the start of the year. But like you said, Matt's heading to one of his favourite events. But just a really grindy event for all the competitors here in Fiji. Yesterday the waves were firing, but everyone taking some pretty heavy wipeouts. It looked like that took its toll on John Florence and stalled his run through the contest.
You know, these guys are super fit, obviously, but you know, you don't understand how much energy you expend, especially during a hit situation. You know, you can surf out there for probably 3 or 4 hours and feel fine, because you're relaxed, you're taking it easy. But in the heat of the moment, you're expending twice as much energy. Your adrenaline's pumping. You know, every single wave you're surfing at 110%. It's so easy to get tired, and then on top of that, you're getting caught inside by those 10, 12 footers that are coming through.
Did Kelly's decision to free surf yesterday afternoon, Ross, and take some heavy beatings maybe work against him on finals day?
It's tough to say. I don't think so. He didn't look gassed to me when he was surfing on his waves. You know, it was just all about kind of getting in the right rhythm with the ocean and being sneaky enough to, and even a little bit fortunate enough to find those medium-sized waves. Those were, you know, the waves that got you through heats today. Those medium waves that actually stayed hollow, because, you know, the culprit today that made heats so difficult was those wash-throughs. What
about the Tabarua and Namotu rivalry? Tabarua got smoked in this event. It was a number of surfers staying on Namotu getting into the finals and 2 competing for the crown here.
Well, you know, hey, it's the way it goes, right? I mean, Kelly's won that many. I think Namotu's still catching up. Ronnie?
Yeah, everyone's still catching up.
They're catching up. They're catching up pretty quickly. But you know, if John had made it through his quarterfinal, and there would have been 2 from each island, but it wasn't to be. And you know, as you said, you know, we talked about Medina's performance through the early rounds. I mean, everyone was kind of a little bit overlooking him. I mean, everyone was going, Kelly, John, the swell's coming up. Those guys are going to be the ones there at the end of the day. They almost were, but Gabriel Medina flew under the radar and took it from everyone.
Barrel riding, throwing down airs in huge conditions. Some of those airs weren't executed on small waves.
Yep. Yeah, he went nuts on some of those alley-oops. You know, some of the biggest airs we've seen all year. Again, we talked about it earlier. I think that's what's so cool and fun to watch about Gabriel Medina's surfing. He has that perfect mix of talent and a feisty pit bull, constantly looking and hounding for waves, and then once he's on a wave, just kind of like maybe Italo Ferreira, he'll milk that thing into the dry rock. So he's going to be tough to beat.
It's been really hard to predict results this season, but coming into this contest, I think all of us mentioned Gabriel Medina as being a huge threat, but it was on the bottom half of the draw that there was a lot of surprise performances from some lower seeds.
Absolutely. You know, Matty Wilco wasn't one of the lowest seeds, but what a surprise that was. I mean, you know, he beat John twice in this event in really serious waves. And if you go back, I mean, when you guys were doing the road to the final, some of the waves that Matty Wilco had were just absolutely phenomenal. So, credit to him. Hats off to all the hard work that he's been putting in. And, whatever you're doing, mate, keep doing it.
Definitely. Yeah, training really hard through all the lay days. And there was some distractions. Obviously, Taj Burrow, his retirement, a good reason to celebrate earlier on during some of those lay days. But Matt was really focused. Saw him running the beach and banging out the sit-ups and push-ups throughout with Glenn Hall. So that dedication is obviously paying off in a big way.
Well, he's going to be tough to beat the rest of the year. He's already proven, despite having nothing to draw back on, 2015, it's not like he had this track record that I've been here. I've made the finals. I know how to do it again. This is all brand new for Wilco. So it's so impressive that he keeps stacking up these insane results.
Really tricky heats throughout the quarterfinals, even semis. The final, we were hoping it'd all click into gear, but it was, again, a bit of a sleepy start with some low-scoring rides by both competitors. But things got a little bit interesting when Medina started to find that barrel and get those big exits.
You know what, it was only a matter of time, wasn't it? I mean, when does this kid not find them? Especially in these kind of situations. I mean, he's made a bunch of finals and his strike rate's pretty strong, isn't it, Ross, once he makes it. I thought this was a really smart move on Matty Wilco's part, just to get that wave under his belt, because you just never know.
Yeah, there's so much cat and mouse involved with those second reef wash throughs. So Matty was trying to get his competitive groove on, catching that wave. It was just a few little turns. He was trying to find that rhythm, but that was the first wave that really drew blood there running.
Definitely. But Matt Wilkinson also had an opportunity to potentially get himself right back in this heat. He might have even had the best wave of the final, but just got a little too deep. We're seeing vision of Medina's second scoring ride. This was the highest scoring ride of the final, 8.27 for this one.
That's the example, Potts, right there. See how much whitewash is on that face? That means Gabriel had to dig back to the ledge after getting cleaned up and having a big old wave on the head and find that medium-sized wave.
You know what, and it could have been that extra half hour that he had resting before that final that was the difference. Matty Wilco said, look, I've got nothing left in the tank. I've got maybe 30 minutes left. That's if I don't get caught inside by sets, but maybe that extra half-hour rest was the difference. And Medina did look like he had a little bit more energy. He was still surfing with conviction, and those wash-through sets just took it out of the boys.
Ended up being a bit of a whitewash on the scoreboard, and it was plenty of whitewash in the lineup as well. Both surfers wearing plenty of sets on the head, but Medina really dominant, 15.6. Didn't have the highest heat score totals of the contest, but consistently put up solid numbers throughout.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the performers. A lot of attention went to John and Kelly, but Gabriel was right there as well as one of the kind of highlight reels of the event. And as we mentioned, such a well-rounded competitor. It doesn't matter if Cloudbreak is 2 feet or 15 feet, he's going to show up.
It's been a special event. Medina is the champion, but when we come back from the break, we're going to have a look at the top 5 moments from the Fiji Pro. Gabriel Medina is the 2016 Fiji Pro Champion. You're watching the WSL Post Show here from stop number 5. And Medina has moved into second position on the Jeep leaderboard, closing in on Matt Wilkinson, who continues to rack up solid results, heading into one of his favourite contests, Jeffreys Bay. But it is now time for us to break down some of the big moments from this contest. It's been one of the best we've seen in some time. We had remarkable conditions yesterday. Tough conditions today. The forecast looked good, but the swell, it was almost too big out there, Ross.
Yeah, it was washing through, and it's that long interval. We saw about 8 feet, 17 seconds, so that's borderline where it starts to, it wants to break on that second reef. And so the best waves are those medium-sized ones. It made everyone really earn it today, Potts.
Absolutely, and it was that cat and mouse game that you had to play. You heard Strider talk about, he overheard Micro say to Matty Wilco, look, get in there and get him. Doesn't matter, take a set on the head or two, but that's where you got to be to get the waves. And it was making that commitment to do that. And the guys that did, came out on top.
2 perfect 10-point rides. There probably could have been more, but let's look back on them. From the 4th round, the waves just came on in a big way. Medina on fire. How's this double barrel?
Man, I would have felt like there was 4 or 5 in this event, but there's a lot of high 9s too, wasn't there? But this barrel right here, insane how he claimed it, boys, and then he came out and said, hold on a second, I'm not done yet. I think the second half of the wave was almost better. But these are the kind of waves that you dream about as a surfer. I mean, put the jersey to the side. That is an absolute perfect wave.
Yep. Definitely one of the best waves Medina's ever ridden in competition. Easy decision from the judges. The 10s dropped quickly, and he collected his best single score of the event. This man has had a big return to form. Kelly Slater, a semi-finalist here. His 10-point ride in a heat where he also had a 9.77 Potts. Could have been a perfect heat.
Yeah, it could have. I mean, the judges were splitting hairs right there. And Ross, I'm as shocked as you that there was only 2 10-point rides. What about Mick Fanning's wave? I mean, Mick Fanning got one of the most craziest barrels ever. That was ever so close to a 10. John as well in this round got, round 4, there should have been a 10-point ride in each heat.
Yeah, those high 9s were definitely a highlight of the event. That's when the waves were absolutely perfect. That round 4, that's when all the stars aligned, where it was that nice borderline too big for the ledge, but still handling, and that's when we saw the best tubes go down.
Yep, absolutely.
A special contest for Kelly. He's going to make a huge jump up the Jeep leaderboard. One of the other highlights of this contest, heat of the year, and will probably still be a nominee. You could probably give them the award now. Taj Burrow up against John Florence, round 3. It was an early departure for Taj, but he didn't look too disappointed at the end of that exchange.
Absolutely not. I mean, same sort of heat where there was one mistake made, and it was right at the end. I think maybe halfway through the heat, Taj was a little bit ahead of one of the most incredible waves all day long. And he got like about an 8 for it, but the wave right at the end when he came out the barrel, he kind of claimed it and then fell. I think if he had to finish that off, Ronnie, that came in at a 9.40, he needed a 9.56. I think if he had to finish that wave off, he probably would have won that heat.
What I loved about that heat, Ronnie, was I think he really came to grips with how insane it was. Despite getting the loss, despite numbers, Taj had the biggest smile on his face when he came in, and hey, it's this is kind of his swan song, and despite losing to John, that was the heat he wanted. Those are the waves he wanted. He smashed it, and it almost could have went either way. It was debatable heat.
Yep.
Didn't get the win, but it was a fairy tale finish for Burrow. Let's see what went down in their round 3 heat.
Well, this is such a special heat on paper. 2 of the biggest names in the sport. Florence, one of the favorites around the world, and Taj Burrow celebrating his last event ever. Let's get this thing started. John, late takeoff, slamming on the brakes to pull in, and he gets spat out.
John straight out of the gates. Opening score, 8.17. That's how you start, and that's how you put the pressure on.
Taj Burrow now up, slams on the brakes, nice and hollow section. Burrow comes out after the spin. Burrow wants more. Hammers a huge section.
Game on for Taj. I think we'll see the lead change. Right behind him, though, have a look at this one.
John is up again now, looking for the lead. Needs a 9.04 in the barrel. Spits once behind him. Florence comes out.
No one gets as deep as he does. Maybe Kelly, but that's about it.
A 9.43. That's the high score of this matchup. Still needs an 8.37 to take the lead. Burrow locks in a heavy section on a perfect line.
The crowd are going wild out there for Taj Burrow.
This is John Florence chasing an 8.37, slams on the brakes, super deep. This wave stand wide open. The wave spits its guts out underneath that backhand snap. A big lead change, and we've had lead changes with every single moment.
Taj Burrow on the way behind, stalling, pulling in, traveling. Is he going to come out of this? Of course he is. Scores dropping now for Taj Burrow's last ride.
It's a 9.4, and it's not enough for a lead change.
Best lead ever. So good. What a heat. Heat of the year already. I didn't really care about the result at all. I just was so happy to get some bombs. It was one of the best heats of my life, just because I was against one of the best surfers in the best waves, and I got some sick ones too, so yeah, I'm thrilled.
An amazing heat, and that was our number 4 moment. But our number 3 moment, it is the retirement of Taj Burrow, and it set up just a great story to follow through this contest. And it just seemed like, especially the Australian contingent and the crew staying on the motor, really invested in this event as a result, and it paid off in a big way.
Yeah, and, it was, I think Taj said it best. He couldn't have scripted this event any better for himself. He said, if I could have a choice, I would have a couple of rounds and have 8 lay days so that I could hang out with my best friends in the world and just celebrate, our life together on tour, and then kick it back into business with perfect waves.
You know what, Ronnie, you were right. I mean, there was a bonding moment on that island, and that's why Namoto, I reckon, came out on top. It was, I think they did it for Taj. It was fun and games, but then once the heats came around the corner, everyone got super serious, and I'll tell you what, the boys ripped.
We talked a lot about his legacy as a championship tour competitor. Almost 19 full years on the CT, 11 CT victories. Everyone talking about just the imprint he left on the sport and how he influenced a new generation and a fins-free approach. But did you notice how many accolades he got for being just a fantastic human in all those Instagram messages?
Not everyone in the sport of surfing can really bump the needle around, and Taj was one of those guys. He made such an impact on every single pro surfer because his surfing was that good. Despite any kind of conversation of results in his competitive career, his surfing was undeniably, some of the best in the world.
I think at the end of the day, you want to be remembered as a good human. Your legacy is obviously, what you've left behind sort of sporting-wise and the impact that he's made on the sport of surfing. But at the end of the day, I think most of us want to walk away being recognised as just a good human.
Definitely. We're going to miss him on the championship tour, and we wish him all the best for the future. Now, the number 2 moment here at the Fiji Pro, it came from Matt Wilkinson, an amazing performance, his best ever here in the islands, and he maintains the Jeep leader's jersey heading to Jeffreys Bay. He's going to be hard to stop.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, going into J Bay, we talked about, that was kind of where he found his mojo last year, beating Kelly Slater in that round. So for sure, Wilco is going to go there with a lot of confidence. And finally, this is one of his events where he can go, yeah, I do have a bit of a track record here. I can pull from that experience, so it might be something new for him.
Rosie Hodge caught up with Matt Wilkinson not long after the final. Here's what he had to say.
Okay. Matty Wilkinson, your 3rd final this year. I mean, coming up against Gabriel Medina, that was always going to be a tough matchup, but you must still be so happy with your 2nd place.
Yeah, I'm really stoked with 2nd, obviously. If I came in knowing I was going to get a 2nd, I would have been absolutely frothing, and that final was just so tough. It was disappointing not to get a big barrel when there were some to be had out there, but I just had 20 sets on the head, and then one barrel I just got caught in, and it might have been a good score, and I don't know, I felt like I was just paddling and duck diving, and as soon as the sets were gone, you had to try and dart in to get like into position, and then whoa, there's a weird dude over there. Dart in to get in position, and then a big set had come again, and it was like just a never-ending cycle. And Gabby is obviously unbelievable out there, and those two waves he got, look, I only saw him from behind, but I'm sure they were pretty sick barrels to get 8s out there. is the hardest thing in the world. It feels like the best barrels ever. So yeah, I'm stoked to make a final, and I don't know, I'm excited for the rest of the year.
And let's just put this into perspective. I mean, making 3 from 5 finals, that's amazing. The rest of the pack is really going to have to break into a sprint at this point of the year.
Yeah, definitely. It's halfway through the year, and I couldn't have dreamed of a better start. Everyone's obviously going to be coming for me, so it's definitely not time to let up on the accelerator. I'm going to go into J-Bay as focused and as ready as I can, and yeah, hopefully end up with another win or a final, or I don't know. I hope I can keep doing this all year.
And you say you're not going to let up. Are you feeling any of that pressure?
Coming into here after 2 average results, I was like, felt a little bit of pressure, and at a place that I hadn't really had a big result before. So I think now I'm going into events that I really feel like I have a great shot at, and I don't know, I guess not pressure, I'm just excited, and hopefully I can just stay feeling this good.
Well, Maddie, go enjoy the celebrations. You've got a lot to be proud of.
Thank you.
Yeah, boy, back to you.
Wilco buzzing there, and obviously thrilled with a big finish here and maintaining that Jeep leader's jersey. Now the number one moment, it is the performance of Gabriel Medina, just so ruthless in competition and so strong at this location. It must be nerve-wracking for Matt Wilkinson looking now on the leaderboard and seeing Medina in second spot, because this time last year, Potts, he caught fire.
Yeah, he did, and I think what Matty's got to do is look forward. He can't be looking over his shoulder. He's got to focus on what he's doing. He can't control what this kid's going to do. I don't think anyone can. I mean, you know, the way the performances he's been putting on through this entire event, 10-point rides in almost every single contest he goes in at the moment. I mean, it's ridiculous. But the thing I liked most about his performance was that go-for-it attitude. I mean, he was catching a lot of waves. He was building himself into rhythm. And even when he was going for those airs and they weren't getting scored, it didn't deter him. He just kept doing it. You know, he was the only one doing it. Given that point of difference, I mean, gone are the days of us saying, okay, there's spots on the tour where you can't do airs. Gabriel Medina's proving us all wrong.
That's such a good point. He's got, again, that crazy ability to compete like a Wilco, you know, and surf really steady, smart heats, and then overpower his fellow competitors with raw talent. You know, he event in and event out, he'll do the biggest move of the event. You know, he's just got crazy amount of talent and ability. So if he's going to catch Wilco, he's definitely going to have to chase him, but he's got the power to do it.
Heading into the back half of the season, this time last year, Medina made the final series at every event in the schedule. Matt Wilkinson, he didn't make the quarters in any of the contests in the back half of the year. So he's got that this year. It's the ability to turn around poor history at some of the stops on tour.
I think you guys in the pre-final show said just tear up all the stats. I mean, this is a new year. It's been turned upside down, and Matty Wilco's done that. He's got 3 finals already, 2 wins. I mean, you offer anyone on the top 32 that results, and they'll take it for sure. And as I said before, he's got to just not look back. He's got to look forward. He's got to continue pushing forward, keep doing what he's doing, and not worry about what everyone else is doing.
If he looks in that rearview mirror, he's going to have a big old picture of Gabriel Medina's head. I'm coming for you. So yes, Matt, just keep focusing forward. I like that putt.
Don't look back.
All right, stay with us, because after the break, we're going to have a look at the next stop on the schedule and what's to come from the world's best.
we were always coming back.
Moody.
Whoa.
Moody, little preview there for J-Bay. We're heading back and it kicks off on July 6th. It's going to be a fun event, and it's a crucial event for Mick Fanning because he's doing select contests, a quarterfinal here in Fiji. He's already up in the 16th position, so looking good to fulfill his task of making the top 22 and giving himself a bit of an option next year whether he's going to contend again for a world title.
It's very interesting. I think life would have been a lot easier in terms of what he's trying to get done this year if he had like one win. You know, if he doesn't get a win in J-Bay, he might have to show up again somewhere. Maybe pipe, I'm not sure.
Let's take a look at the Jeep leaderboard. As you can see, Matt Wilkinson pulling ahead of the field once again, putting some distance between himself and some of those threats. But the danger man is Gabriel Medina, up 9 spots after Brazil pots and making a jump another 7 places in the second. He's deadly.
Yeah, absolutely deadly. And the thing that's deadly is you still look at Matty Wilco with like 8,500 points ahead. And then once you get down to Sebastian Ziz, there is a massive jump. I mean, it's sort of almost splitting that top 10 in half. J-Bay is going to be an interesting event. You'd probably know this, Ronnie. I mean, mixed strike rate in J-Bay is pretty awesome.
One of the best, was on his way to a third consecutive victory last season. Obviously that final wasn't completed, but he always just seems to be the guy to beat there. Probably a little more consistent than Geordie, who's had arguably the best performances at J-Bay in recent times.
Well, what's kind of interesting about this year is guys like Mick Fanning, you know, are just showing up occasionally and they're throwing a real funky kind of wrench into the whole rating system, the seeding points, and that's part of the kind of concoction of why we had such an interesting year. But you know, Matty Wilkinson has forced the issue for everyone to chase him. He's got numerically such a huge advantage at this point that he's forced everyone to get wins. It's plain and simple.
You know what? It's one of those events too where experience prevails, Ronnie. I think you know, you look here, obviously, you know, some of the old dogs were straight back in there again. Go to J-Bay, I think we're going to see a mix of that as well. And you know, with Kelly being right down there, number 26 now, you know, I mean, him and Geordie had a round 3 matchup. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, normally, you know, amazing heats already in round 3, so that's what's going to shake it up. And you know, come after J-Bay, we've got Chopu, which is another event that's full of experience. So Mick Fanning, I mean, if he can walk away with a win at J-Bay, he could take the rest of the year off. One
of the surfers that we saw in some of those highlights from last season was Julian Wilson, a round 2 loss. He's now carrying a 25th in his points tally for the end of the season, and he can't afford to trip up at all from here on in. He was a world title contender right up until the final contest last year. Can he get back in the mix?
It's kind of funny because he's going to have to switch gears from like, okay, this is my world title year, to what do I do now? I got to reorganize my goals and maybe try to just have another solid top 10, maybe top 5 year. Numerically, he's just too far down the ratings to try and chase Wilco unless he gets a bucket of wins. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for a handful of guys like that.
We've got to talk about Kelly Slater because he's just had his best result since Jeffreys Bay last year, a semi-final finish. He's made a big jump up the ratings. He's into 26th spot. From what you've seen, can Kelly turn his year around? Could he get a victory at Jeffreys?
Absolutely. Kelly's won every single event from here on in. If you know, this is going to give him a lot of confidence, obviously moving forward. Semi-final, you know, lost to Medina. It was a crazy heat. But he's going to go to J-Bay with a lot of confidence. If the swell's pumping, go straight on it. I mean, he can win 3 or 4 events from here on in. I mean, he's done it before.
Here's the only thing that scares me a little bit about that question is, you know, somewhere like Cloudbreak, he's a heavy favorite because he's so good over the rest of the field at getting barreled and finding those waves that are shifty. At J-Bay, it levels a little bit. It's easier to get that set wave. All you got to wait for is the wave to come in, and then it's game on. And someone like Mick Fanning is going to, you know, potentially out-carve Kelly. You know, he's done it a lot of times at J-Bay. He's a proven winner. So is Kelly, but in recent years, he's lost a little bit of that edge.
The GoPro Challenge has been one of the highlights of this contest. We always see amazing entries here in Fiji. You can check out some of those entries right now, worldsurfleague.com/GoPro Challenge, and that will be judged tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned to find out who's taken the cash. Likely it'll be a $10,000 prize check for one of the winners. On behalf of our entire broadcast team, we want to say a big thank you for watching. We'll see you at Jeffreys Bay on July 6th, and we'll leave you with some highlights from what has been a memorable contest here in Fiji. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.
We are down to just 8 contenders for the title here in Fiji. 4 world champions in the mix. The waves are firing.
The conditions today, Ronnie, are heart in your throat type of waves going down. Here we go, live action. Gabriel, you know, taking care of Adriana in a tricky heat for waves.
Kelly takes off under priority. It's staying wide open. He comes flying out.
So far, the results of the quarters have been somewhat predictable. Adrian Buchan overcoming the 3-time world champ. We've got a big heat coming up next. The Jeep leader, Matt Wilkinson, up against the current world number 2, John Florence. Matt Wilkinson finds a gem. As the Australian finds one of the waves of the day. Well, that was guaranteed going to be a 10-point ride if John Florence reappeared.
Matt, he's going to have a commanding lead going into J-Bay.
We are down to the final 4 here at the Fiji Pro. Medina and Kelly going head-to-head in pumping Cloudbreak conditions. Gabriel Medina takes out Kelly Slater. Watching Wilco take off with priority. Nice and deep. This thing staying open. Wilco comes flying out. Matt Wilkinson is going to try to catch his breath and prepare for one of the heats of his career.
The final is set. Our competitors are in the lineup.
Medina with priority was going to roll in. Just set up work, now pulling in, stalling for the barrel. Now starting to drive, this section's running away. Medina reappears down the line. What a dramatic finish. Your 2016 Fiji Pro champion, Gabriel Medina, leaving world number 1 Matt Wilkinson in a combination spot